something we don't see all that often here in Charlotte, a celebration of a piece of our history that's been saved. Charlotte, of course, has long had the reputation of tearing down its landmarks, its places with sentimental, if not historical value, in order to replace it with something new. If you go uptown, you'll have a hard time finding any building 100 years old. Iconic department stores, hotels, homes, and mills have given way to condos and high-rise office towers. It's why this Monday will be special. You'll get the chance to walk into a building that first opened its doors 98 years ago. But the thing is, for nearly the last 50, hardly anyone has been inside. Somehow, some way, the Carolina Theater has avoided the wrecking ball. Now keep in mind, it has swung awfully close a few times, but it's survived, thanks to the Foundation for the Carolinas and generous donors. While its entrance is shiny and new, inside, well, that is a walk back in time. Just a few steps from the sidewalk outside, you're greeted with something original. A framework that was found broken and in pieces. But now the marquee, like the Carolina Theater itself, has been rebuilt. What's it like to come into here every day?
Yeah, this is awesome. I have 906 seats that I can sit in at any day, so that means I could go 3 years and sit in a different seat.
Sean Seifert is the Carolina Theater executive, the man in charge of putting this piece of Charlotte history back together.
It's finally here, and you're like, here it is. It's an awesome, awesome venue.
As it was when it first opened in 1927.
They opened it as a vaudeville theater, and they also then did some silent movies. It wasn't until a couple of years later they finally added speakers.
Through the decades, Charlotte gathered at this spot for live shows, Elvis's music, Bob Hope's jokes. They came for movies. The Sound of Music was on the screen for months. 400,000 people saw it here.
So that's really amazing, to have that. And there's so many people coming out now. It's like, I saw that movie there, and it was great.
But times changed. People spread into the burbs. New theaters opened up, and this old one struggled to keep an audience. Right around Thanksgiving, 1978, it closed. It sat for years, padlocked and quiet.
And it was a hodgepodge group of people over the years that kind of stood in front of the wrecking ball when the wrecking ball showed up.
The theater was put on the Historic Register in 1982. The city bought it 4 years later. But multiple efforts to bring it back to life failed. Fortune changed, though, in 2013. The Foundation for the Carolinas said, we'll buy it.
And we bought this off the city for $1. Our current CEO, Kathy Besant, says we paid too much.
Time had not been kind to this old building.
It didn't have heating or cooling, it had a leaky roof. So you can imagine what that does to plaster and metal lath and metal studs behind the walls. So as we got into it, what we thought was good, once you get into it and see what's behind it, that wall had to come down and be completely rebuilt. So the few things we thought we could save, we couldn't.
Thanks to donations, however, they could recreate it, although it was easier said than done.
So for example, we only have a handful of historic photos inside the theater. Most of them were black and white. So you're not discerning colors. It's grainy, it's hard to see detail. So the company we had come in to do all the plaster work, what they did is they looked at other theaters built during the same time by the same architect, that sort of thing, and kind of came up with what we thought was there.
The work began in 2018. 7 years later, the results? Well, look around. They speak for themselves. The aesthetics, timeless. The acoustics, perfect.
One unique thing about the theater is that it was always state-of-the-art. So anytime some new technology, whether it was sound or movie screen projection technology, anything like that, they always upgraded to the newest thing. Let's make it not only old looking and restore it, but let's also put all that technology in to make it current and trendy so you can really do some really cool shows. So for example, these murals that are on the wall are not just painted on plaster like the original ones were. They were hand painted, scanned, and printed on special fabric that has sound deadening panels behind it. All that is designed to come together to create a really acoustic correct space.
All now set to go for musicians, movies, and meetings. A place for the community to gather once again. And it just illustrates the point. This is worth saving.
So to be able to come have a public place that has this type of history and the way it looks, as close as we could to get it back the way it was, is absolutely amazing.
It is spectacular inside. The ribbon cutting officially opening the Carolina Theater will happen Monday at 3 p.m. It will then be open to the public to look around until 7 p.m. The theater can be found at 230 North Tryon Street in Uptown. Go check it out. Coming up next here on